And on a somewhat better note, I had a very good dear friend of this channel who's actually been here and saw my leg room. Yes, I give tours. Here or there. It's like I feel like Les Nessman in the walls, the tape on the floor. This is my chair. This is my shelf. This is my Lego. The end. But a very good friend of mine asked me about my monorail modifications. And I saw that and I thought I'd just make a video because it's just gonna be easier to talk about. Now, what I cannot do is I cannot go into my garage right now to find, I thought one might be here, but it's not, to get my monorail modifications out of the garage because they're in a bin and the bin's piled underneath a whole bunch of other bins and stuff. Because it's the garage and it's winter and everything's piled in the garage. I actually was going to get out there this weekend, but it was too cold this weekend to reorganize the garage. But it's getting a little too tight in there, even to get the garbage cans out. C'est la vie, that's what happens. Because it's winter and it's too cold to work out there. But instead of showing you the actual monorail modifications that I've done, I'll show you the parts that were the remainder of the things that I modified. So we'll start with something quite easy, and that's going to be the modified monorail pickups. So this is the only monorail track that you have to modify physically that does damage to the actual monorail piece. And that's because you have to get the power to the strips. And to do that, you have to have a connector. And there's the connector there. And what I did, and you don't necessarily have to do this, you might be able to get away with not actually physically modifying the actual monorail, but what I did is I drilled holes inside so the wire would run nicely and come out here, and I soldered it to the copper tape which comes to the top, so it provides power to the actual rails. So there's a hole there, there's a hole there. And my newer ones, because this is one of my first ones, I drilled a hole through these guys. Like I drilled the whole way through so that this thing we tied it and not come off. Now this is of course a zombified wire, JLV. That's why I don't use this one anymore. I just haven't got around to fixing it. But if I ever wanted to go back to original monorail battery operated, the tape comes off. And then you have a perfectly looking monorail. Now this, the one piece that's going to have holes in it, but it's not, it doesn't, there's no detriment to the actual physical rails. In the ends, it's just going to be two little holes on the ends here. It is what it is. You can just put the tape down and solder the wire to the edge of the tape without drilling any holes in the monorail. But I wanted to be more, the less ability to break and come off. So that's why I don't even use this one anymore. I haven't fixed it yet. But that's my modification to the actual monorail track. Now, what I also started doing is instead of putting the holes through straight track, which are stupid expensive, I started using curve track because I got a box full of curve track. And so if I break one of those or waste one of those by drilling holes in the side, oh well. But that's the actual monorail itself. For the actual wheel sets, the bogies as they call it. Let's see if I can get this thing off with my hands. Oh, that's one side. People know what I'm doing if they know monorail. There we go. So on the bogies themselves, again, you can remove this stuff and it'll function like a regular monorail bogie without the wire coming off the back. As I drill a little hole through the side there, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, so you can see the wire goes through. So I get the Dremel and I drill on an angle from here, and I come out right before that square. See if I have a pointer scissors. I'll get my Dremel that is picked up. I come out way down in there. So before this void, there's a little void that I tried to get the floating pickups working in. That didn't work too well. So, but before that, and it comes through, and then the wire comes through, and then so I can straighten this out so it's not a bird's nest. And then those are your pickups, and they're a little bit messy right now because this is moving around. And so that's two little holes in this bogie that you don't even see when you put this thing back on, because it's underneath here, there, you won't even see the holes. so I drill the holes, and you sell this thing as, I won't say mint, obviously, but you sell the monorail back in its original form without the wire sticking in it. And if you're not taking this off, you can't see the holes. so there's that. The important thing is, and what my friend was asking about, is the connector points. Sorry, I should have brought one of those over. So you have the monorail motor. Now again, I modified the motor once, but that motor was dead when I got it, because I asked for a dead one, and of course it worked after I fixed it. Whatever. So unmodified, you can see not modified. And normally, as anybody who has the monorail would know, let's get this thing fully set up. Come on. There we go. So original pickup, no holes on it, and they got this little connector there. Okay, so you get that. So this piece here is the only piece in the Lego, in the whole echelon of the Lego company that fits into this little triangle here to connect this to the motor. And of course, people say, "Well, then Dave, how did you make your little?" Because you've seen my, you can watch other videos. You see my monorails are shorter, or whatever size I want them to be. What I had to do, and this is where the hardcore modifications come in place that you cannot hide. I cut off the end on this one. So here's this one compared to this one. I got a Dremel, I cut it. I didn't have my Lego table saw at the time. See, Lego table saw. Anyway, and because a 2x4 plate was stronger. My original ones, I did that. I cut out a 2x2 because I thought that'd be good enough. The issue is that you can see on the bottom here, there's no stubborn tube on the bottom. There's no way of clicking this into the bottom of something. So the only thing that's holding the monorail base plate, or vehicle or car base plate to this thing, is the 4 studs on top. And I found that because of it going up and down and around and around, that this thing would just always wiggle off. That's got a little bit annoying. So when I went to the 2x4 version, which I just cut off the entire back end, that worked better, obviously, but of course it's a 2x4. Now the good part is, and again, I can't show you this because of course all the monorails are in the box, is that you can take that 2x2 plate that I cut out here, and you can put it back in here and put a brick across or a plate across, and it'll hold that piece there. And so this thing would be back to normal as a monorail base plate. But of course, you'd have to have a plate here to hold that piece inside. I accept that because, again, I have, 5 more, at least. I think I got 5 more over there. Original ones that I don't worry about. But that's what I do. Because you can then, what you do is you get this little piece here, at 2x4, 2x6, or 2x8 Technic plate, and this little pin here is a half pin, and it fits right in there. And this thing, so you can build your whole monorail engine or car on here, and have that little piece in the back that sticks into the motor. That's it. So you can make your cars as big or as small as you want. The limiting condition, shall we say, the limited condition for doing this is when you're here. I don't know if I can show you this nicely. I'll use this one because it's better. When you're here and this thing goes up the slope, there's not much difference, right? Because the wheel sets way out here, right? When you're here and this thing's going up the slope, it actually seems to go up farther. And so you have to be, and of course I build my vehicles. This is why they invented the long connector instead of the short connector. Do I have a short connector here? I think, no, they're all long connectors. The short connector, the motor, especially if it has a housing around it, would bind with the vehicle in front of it and pinch, and all of a sudden the motor comes off the rails. So you have to watch the ramps pieces when you start building your own vehicles. You have to watch the ramps. This thing never seemed to have any problem going up and down ramps at all. It depends on how heavy this thing is, but this thing never had any problems going up and down ramps. Whereas the shorter ones always seem to have a problem. Not always, I want to rephrase that. Mine don't have a problem, but I think my first iterations did have a problem going up and down ramps. And also, because you're externally wiring, the wires will get in the way because, of course, the wires connect to here. And if you're, again, I should have brought everything over here. Battery box. Actually, I won't get a battery box. I'll just get a wire. So this is the issue. Like, so before, you would know, if you know a monorail, this thing would just come up like that and go into a battery box, right? So the wire doesn't get in the way at all. For me, I like to get the wire inside the vehicle because, of course, it has to go to the front bogies. That's what that hole's for. By the way, that's another modification you have to do. Because you have to put this thing through the hole. See? Ta-da! Sorry, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's a modification too. If you're going to use the original bogies. So now you got the pickups, you got the wire, comes out there. This one's going to be short, so no, doesn't matter. Go back to here. Here's me building this thing on the fly. That's too short, so I'm going to have to put this extra wire on it just to show you. There are a variety of ways to do this, because this is what I did. So you got the wire coming down, but as soon as you start doing this up and down slopes, the wire gets pinched underneath. You can see underneath right there, the wire's pinching, right? So you turn that over like that, so it's going up like it used to, right? And all of a sudden this thing has free rein to go up and down. What I've actually started doing is I started going out sideways. So, and then the wire would come into the bottom like that. I'd leave a little space in the bottom for the wire to come in, right? And that seems to work out relatively okay. The other thing I started doing, because I mentioned this before, is that one set of pickups, not so good, because as soon as one brush leaves the rail, the copper tape, then it stopped. So then I started, let's see if I can do this. All right, that's the only modification I got. But then I have this guy on the other side, which also has pickups. So pickups in front, pickups in back. And this wire has to come around to this side. Or you figure out something else like that, which is kind of dumb because you can already see what that's stupid here. And so you have the wire. So what I started doing is I started making one wire that would go from here to this guy to here. And then the wire coming up, because I can modify the actual electric brick plate here and then go up to here. So there's one wire going all the way through, but it has 3 connector spots. So I started doing that just because it just stops this mess, this having two at front, or having this guy come all the way up to the because if I can show you this without too much of an explanation. There we go. Okay, so this is going to be my explanation. So wire 1, pickup 1 goes to here, then pickup 2 here, which is not a bogey, also goes to here, and then wire 3 comes off the top and goes to the motor. And all of a sudden you got this huge stack of blocks. And it works. Like, it really does work, but in the end, that's a lot of blocks. So because I got a whole bin of I got a whole bin here of, you can see the ends, the pickup, the electric plates, because again, all my wires zombified. So I just cut all the wires off. So I got, 250 ends in there. So I can make as many as I want. And since I got the wire from, AliExpress or wherever I got it from, I can make whatever wires whenever I want, which is perfect for me. Originally, I started just making the wires exactly the same size as they used to be in the monorails and the RCXs and all the other stuff. But I said, screw it, I'm going to make the wires as long as I want. or as short as I want. And so, and then you can add, and this is, again, this is me being excited about this because I always get excited about this. So you get, there we go, come on. You get this guy, cut off wire. You take him apart, obviously, because you have to put a new wire in there anyway. And you see this little notch in the front is cut exactly the same notch in the back. So the wire can go straight through. Done. And you put them back together, and all of a sudden, this is a pickup, that's a pickup, and that's a pickup. So you can add as many as you want. Just make sure you don't short it out or whatever. But a little bit of electrical knowledge. But that's what I do now for my monorails, and and for me, it's one of those things that it seems so blatantly obvious now, especially when I started making. Thanks to my good friend over at oh, for crying out loud, I hate my memory. Thank God, I hate my memory. I forgot, Brian. Oh my God, I forgot. Battery power bricks. Go look him up. Go look him up. He's for this, and he's great. Got a great channel anyway. But for how to fix your wires, how to test all this stuff, fantastic channel. But battery power bricks shows you how to take these things apart easily, how to put new wires in there easily, and I think he tells you where to source the wires from easily. And you can, I mean, I can do it for you, but just go do it yourself. And so I've been doing this for a bunch of years now. And it took me until last year when I'm going, wait a minute, I can put as many of these on one wire as I want to, as I need to. And so that's what I've been doing. And what I have been doing, because what happens is, in my case right now, thankfully Monorail has that, raised rack there, because these things will sometimes, is that these brushes break off after a while. I just pull more wire through and then take the rubber off. Is that I've been making the pickups and the wire short, so it just basically locks down there, and then I have the 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then the other side's the same way, so I can replace the wire of the pickups easily, and the wire going from the motor to both bogies or both monorail bases as basically standard, and it doesn't change. So that's what I've been doing now. I've been retrofitting on my old ones, and that's working fantastically well. So anyway, in the end, you can do that to get that little piece off to make your monorail cars as big as small as you want, or you can do that and cut off a 2x2 or 2x4. I did one, and I'm not sure where the base plate is because I thought it'd be in here. It's probably still over there. I cut here right across, so it's only a 1x4. I did that, and then I left this edge on, this back edge, and I tried to cut it as nicely as possible, so when you put this thing back together with the plate on top, you can barely see the cut down here, but whatever you want. So for me, it's been 1x4, 2x4, or 2x2. So 2x2, 2x4, cut off 2x4, and then 1x4, I don't know where that is. The issue is the more studs you have, the more it grips, obviously, and the more it's going to stay inside your. And it hasn't, okay, let's put it this way. It hasn't been too much of an issue on most of my monorail cars until you get to ramps. When you get to the ramps, it seems to put more stress on on this little piece here, and then it will pop off because you can't put bricks or plate underneath it to hold it there. You can't sandwich it, which I find it's a bit of a detriment. I wish there was like the anti-studs on this side, but why would they think of that when they're building this piece? Because I don't think this goes on there. No, it does not. I mentioned before, and I never sent them an email. Maybe I did. 4D bricks to design that piece, to design this 2x2 piece, cutting out this 2x2 piece here with this end on it, but have the bottom so you can connect it to bricks from the bottom too, because that would make just done. Absolutely done. But I do not have a 3D printer, so what they can do, they can do. But right now I have enough parts and pieces to last me the rest of my life with this hobby, and I do not see me going anywhere besides this hobby. It's been so much fun over the years, and so it is what it is. That's cool. So that's it. Nice 19-minute video to explain the monorail stuff. And there we go. I am slightly concerned because historically, even though I've had to win boxes for I think over half a decade now, I usually bring in the shelf with the monorail track with the copper on it, and the monorails themselves into the house, so they're not subject to the freeze thaw cycle in the garage. I had a speech impediment when I was a kid. Freeze thaw cycle in the garage. But I left them out there last winter, and they were perfectly fine. I'm hoping it's the same this winter because they're still in the garage. But anyway, that's it. That's all. I hope everybody out there is having a fantastic day. The one thing I do have to do at some point is put these things back together because that's zombified wire. And make more rotation sensors because that's what I got. And the train connectors, that just makes me cry. That just makes me cry. I've done the train connectors before. It's harder than the rest of them, I found. It takes me 2 or 3 tries, but I got a few made, and that's all I needed, so I didn't bother doing the rest of them. Most of the ones I've been doing lately are just light sensors because I've been making these, my interface with user interface so people can interact with my layout. But in the end, that's it. That's all. Everybody out there, stay safe. I will talk to you soon.